And I'm just going to wait for a minute. Our attendees are going up right now. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's town hall about reopening GCU. I'm just going to wait another minute as our attendees keep going in as we're letting everyone in from the waiting room. Okay, we have 172 attendees in our town hall today. So I'd like to welcome you all, and I'm going to kick off today's town hall by introducing Dr. Marbach, who's going to kick things off.
Thank you, Tara. In our tradition as a Mercy institution, offer one that is about new beginnings. Dear Lord of hosts, in you there are endings and new beginnings. Oftentimes, our new beginnings can be very uncertain, resulting in fear and doubt. I know that I need to forget what is behind me and instead press ahead towards whatever you have planned for me. Give me the strength and the courage to move forward toward the goal to win the prize of the upward call of God. In Christ Jesus our Lord, amen. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. In a few words, let me express that we are ready to welcome you back to campus. As you know, classes begin in a week's time on August 24th, and already dozens of resident students have moved into our dorms and are continuing to move in as early as this morning and will continue through the rest of the week. As we start the semester, we will be online for most of our classes. There are a number of clinical classes and labs that will have some in-person instruction, but that's really based on the type of skills that are being taught in those types of classes. Our plan is to offer face-to-face classes if and when New Jersey moves to stage 3 in its reopening plan. Stage 3 for New Jersey will mean that there are lower positivity rates, lower transmission rates, lower hospitalization rates, and lower mortality rates. This will produce a safer environment in which to conduct in-person classes. If there is sufficient evidence before we move to stage 3, as the state changes some of its criteria, we will revisit this idea and provide reasonable time before we would move to in-person classes. For more detail on what's going to be happening on the academic side of the house, let me introduce our provost, Janice Warner.
Janice, before you get started, I'm just going to introduce everyone else that's on the call today. I have, in addition to Dr. Marbach, we have Provost Janice Warner, we have Amy Bossio, Vice President, Finance and Administration, Monty Jennings, Dean of Students, John Mertz, Director of Student Accounts. Mary Chinnery should be joining us soon. She's the Dean of the School of Arts and Sciences. Jennifer Edmonds, Dean of the School of Business and Digital Media. Amu Magaya, Acting Dean of the School of Education. Terry Wormser, Dean of the Georgian Court Hackensack Meridian Health School of Nursing, and Cynthia McCarthy, Director of Financial Aid.
Thank you, Tara, and thank you, Dr. Marbach. So Dr. Marbach already covered much of what's on this slide, but again, it's our most important message. Oh, go ahead back. But it's our most important message. Really, the recap. We are ready for you. Welcome to fall 2020. Faculty are ready, student affairs and residence life is ready, and after this town hall, we believe students are going to be fully ready as well. So that is our message, and we hope that you will all find that to be true as we go through our presentation. Okay, so I know there's been a lot of confusion because we've been working on this since May and things kept changing. And rightly so. I mean, the situation related to the pandemic kept changing. But we have decided that we must begin our semester with courses almost completely online. There are some exceptions, and they are listed in the plan addendum from August 14th. Most of those exceptions are in nursing, and nursing did a great job having town halls with their students. So nursing students should be very aware of what they are expected to do. There are a couple of other exceptions, so you can look at that addendum and find out what those are. As Dr. Marbach said, when it is determined to be safe to do so, we will look and consider moving more of our in-person classes in person. But we will give notice, at least 1 week's notice, before any of them do start having in-person sessions. In any case, even if you're in in-person classes, all students can continue to take their courses online. That is what our HighFlex modality is all about. It's a very flexible approach that we took to make sure that if students feel that they are at exceptional risk, or if they're sick themselves or have been in a risky situation, they do not feel that they need to come to the in-person sessions. So if you look at your schedule, courses on the schedule listed as virtual or online will proceed as normal. These are all online classes. The only difference is that virtual classes have days and times associated with them. And so faculty and students will be meeting via video conference, specifically using Blackboard Collaborate during those days and times. So that's a very important difference. If you're in a virtual class, you will be expected to be available on the days and times associated with your schedule. All hybrid in-person classes, or any in-person classes at all, will start as virtual classes. So again, you should be available at the scheduled times, but instead of going to a classroom initially, you will be going online using Blackboard Collaborate. All the specific information about your class and when to go on Blackboard Collaborate and how to interact with your faculty members is all available in your courses on Blackboard. And so that specific information can be found there. So as I said, faculty are ready. They've been working super hard all summer long, making sure that they were ready to greet you in their classes in the fall. 96% of them, even those who already knew how to use the technology fairly well, attended technology workshops on a regular basis. The majority of our faculty are also Blackboard certified to teach fully online. So that's an added credential that they've pursued. Our Center for Teaching and Learning held weekly sessions for faculty members to help each other come up with the best processes for teaching classes. And we held our new faculty orientation and made sure all our new faculty were ready. Adjuncts also were given proper training. Professors will have instructions and their course outlines on Blackboard this week. So make sure you look on, this is to the students, make sure you look on Blackboard to see how your classes are going to be conducted and what the expectations are. We have a welcome back meeting. This is an annual meeting that we have on Wednesday, and that's when we'll address any additional issues that may come up. But I really think we're ready, and I don't envision too much more to have to be decided. Deans, department chairs, and program directors are ready to answer your questions and help you find any answers to any situations that you may come across. So again, all of us are ready on the academic side. Next slide, please. But it's not limited to just academics. We're all ready. In residence life, we had 40 students move into residence on August 10th for required quarantine. Those were for students who were international or out of state, and they're here on campus. Additionally, students, about 260 will be moving in this week. I understand that some are moving in today, so welcome if you're watching from residence life. We have a virtual orientation ready to go. It's going to begin on Wednesday. And we also have a special welcome from the Georgian Court Council for Diversity and Inclusion. This wonderful group has also been working all summer long and had events this summer and has many additional events planned for the fall semester. Student Life is developing activities for the semester. Athletics has their plans for small group practices and team building. Student Services, such as Global Education, Career Services, EOF, TRIO, have plans for having outdoor office hours so that they can meet you if you come by. And we are having a live in-person convocation on August 27th outside behind the casino. It's invitation only, but this is our welcome to the semester, our kickoff for the academic year. And so we're really excited to be able to continue that tradition. So now it's up to you, students. Are you ready? You should feel confident that we're ready for you, and now we need you to also be ready. So this week, before classes start, log into Blackboard, check out your Georgian Court email, make sure everything works. If you are planning to come on campus at all, make sure you have face coverings. Get your course materials. Our bookstore is open. You can either order books to be delivered to you, or you can order books for curbside pickup. That's the two ways that they're helping you out on that. Make sure you read your course syllabi because faculty have worked really hard trying to make sure that everything is clear so that you know how courses will operate and how you will be assessed and how your attendance will be assessed and how your participation in the classes will be assessed. So it's really important to read that so that you're ready to be successful in those classes. And then, as always, relationships really matter here at Georgian Court. Faculty want to get to know students, our staff, our administrators, all are always available to help students get the most out of their education. So to do that, communication really matters. We know it's harder when we're doing most things virtually, but we're ready to do that. So reach out to us. We're happy to help you out in anything you need. And now I'd like to kick it over to Amy Bozio.
Okay, how's that? We're ready as well with our operations, with facilities, with dining hall, outdoor space. We're looking to provide you a very safe environment to operate in, as well as giving you the opportunity to make the most of the campus that we have. And we're fortunate to have such large fields and space that we could do that. So being safe, I'm sure you've heard this before, social distancing, wearing masks, washing your hands, sneezing into your elbow, whatever it takes to keep yourself and others safe. Personal protective equipment, masks. Masks will be required on campus at all times unless you are able to socially distance or when you're eating. And then we ask that when you're eating, take off the mask and immediately put the mask back on. There will be limited supplies of PPE initially for all faculty, staff, and students. And we're suggesting that after the initial amount available, that you be responsible for providing the additional PPE, that you have access to additional PPE. Screening, testing, and contact tracing. I'll take that in the next slide. I wanted to get to enhanced cleaning protocols. So I know this is a concern for everyone. And again, top issue is about being safe on campus. So the classrooms will be cleaned twice a day. The bathrooms in the academic buildings will be cleaned twice a day. They will be followed up with the services of a porter And that's an individual who will be visible with an arrow mark shirt on, walking around Jeffries Hall and other locations to make sure, following up on high touch areas. So that will be there, as well as we have hand sanitizer available in each of the classrooms, and there will be sanitizing wipes that, even though the classrooms will be cleaned twice a day, we're asking that when people enter and then when they leave, that they wipe down the equipment or desks, what have you, when leaving the classroom. The other is with cleaning, or the computer lab. So we will be providing disposable computer board covers so that when you're done with the computer board, you can dispose of the cover, and others will be there available in the rooms that will have computers. Next slide, please. So safety, screening, testing, and contact tracing. So right now we have been able to use, through IT's ingenuity, logins through certain websites, so that if anyone's been on campus and you've logged in, answers a set of questions, then you would be notified if you were safe to come on campus, or if you have any of the symptoms or concerns, then you would be recommended to stay off campus and then reach out to your personal primary care provider. So that right now has been out and is out on the website. What we're thrilled to have is an online app, which will be easier for students, faculty, and staff. That's called Campus Clear. You will download the mobile app. It's for Android and iOS users, platforms. And we will have that rolled out for use later this week. The visitor screening form is what I was referring to before, and that's the link for visitors in order to get their clearance to come onto campus. We are not permitting during phase 2 any visitors on campus, with certain exceptions, and that you would go through Office of Residence Life. And for those who are staff that are on the call today, the support that's coming is through human resources. So if you have a concern about coming back to campus, about what campus would be like, what are your options, providing a reasonable accommodation, whatever your concerns are, that's to be supported through human resources. Next slide, please. So what's happening on our campus? So there's dining services, which will begin this evening for our students. They will have selected times for the meal service. The Court Cafe as well as Raymond Hall will be open, but may not have similar times. Those times will be posted on the website. Transportation will be continued the way it was prior to COVID, which is the ability to transport students to the local shopping centers. If a student is ill, if it's COVID related, if they've been advised by student health to go to get testing, the university will coordinate that through student health in order to get the individual student off campus to a local testing site. If you're a commuter student, or if you are an employee of the school, then we are asking you to stay home, stay off campus, connect with your personal care provider. Bookstore is open. This week it will have limited hours. Next week, beginning the 24th, we'll have full-time hours as it had in prior to COVID. So what's happening on campus? Well, you will see once you return, or for those that are moving in currently, you'll see a number of white tents around, and that are scheduled to accommodate classes that are going to be held outside once we do face-to-face, gathering areas, of course, within social distancing guidelines. There'll be Adirondack chairs sprinkled throughout the campus, 6 feet apart, so that you could engage with others while you're here. We have changed classroom spaces. We've looked at how to present and provide that experience of classroom, but doing that in a socially distanced, appropriate way. There will be high tops for studying, small seating and small tables in various spaces. And the tents, there'll be 10 across the campus, and the one in the picture here is outside the Wellness Center. Additionally, where you'll see changes are in a number of these places, including the casino ballroom, which is the picture to your right. Well, you will have space to spread out, to study, and to participate in classes if you need space to do that. So you can see there's a number of places where we're opening up or redefining what that space has been used for, so that we can take advantage of the outdoor space that we have. Next. So that's it for the official presentation. Of course, you can always send questions to reopen@georgian.edu. Tara, I'd like to hand it back to you.
Thank you, Amy. I'm going to stop sharing this slideshow and encourage everyone to go to our reopening site, which is the link was on the slideshow, but it is also on our homepage. It's the top of the page when you go. It's georgian.edu/reopen2020. So if you have any questions and you don't get them answered today, I would really encourage people to look there. Let's start with our chat. Okay, that was just a note about the sound. Okay, so let's look at our Q&A. How do we know if we were invited to the convocation? There was a post made in one of my summer courses by a professor on Blackboard, but not an email. Janice?
Answer that. So convocation, you would have been invited, first of all, if you are a new student, you're invited to convocation, and that's why you got a note in your summer class. I'm sure you were in Gen 101 this summer, and so all students in Gen 101 are invited to participate. And then others who were invited to participate are students, continuing students who are receiving awards, as well as students in our student government. And so those are the students who would have gotten email. But first year students, those in Gen 101, automatically should be able to come to convocation.
Amy, can you tell everyone what the limited hours for the bookstore are this week?
Sure. The hours are Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You, of course, can always order your books online for either curbside pickup or for shipping.
Amy, also, you didn't say what the hours of the dining halls are. Do you know what those are, or are they varied per student?
So this information will be posted, but I'm happy to go through it now. So Raymond Hall will be open for dining this evening. Raymond Hall will start serving 3 meals as of tomorrow, Tuesday. Raymond Hall dining hours are Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Raymond Hall will be serving a full menu. Stations will be buffet style. However, Aramark will be serving the students, so it's not self-serve, but there are hot stations and you can request a hot platter, and the students you will not be serving yourselves. For students that do not yet have an ID card, Aramark will take the student's name. They'll be permitted to come into the cafeteria. And then once they have their ID, what will happen is Aramark will go back and then will charge you for the meals that you've taken, but you haven't had your ID yet. And the Court Cafe will be open on Monday, August 31st.
Amy. I just wanted to, I think someone had asked about the reopening website again. I'm just going to repeat that. It's georgian.edu/reopen2020. It is also linked straight off our homepage. And someone else asked how they could see the list of exempt classes from 814. If you go to the reopen site, the comprehensive reopening plan is linked in the second paragraph. If you look there, the addendum starts on page 31 and the list of classes is there. Let's see. Someone ordered one of their books from the bookstore and is now wondering when they should pick it up, and because they do not drive, will my grandmother be allowed to come in with me? Amy?
So the books are available, excuse me, curbside pickup, and we can make accommodations. This is a particular student that needs to be accommodated, or if one person just wants to go in and the other one is in the car. I'm not sure of the particular situation here, but we will absolutely make accommodations for you to get that book.
A student wants to know if they have the option to completely opt out of on-campus class meetings. Will that negatively affect them in any way? Dean Chinnery, do you want to take that one?
Sure, Tara, thank you. All of our classes in the high flex model this semester have the option to do the course fully online. So if that is the way you want to approach it, then you can certainly do that. Just please make sure you have a discussion with your professor as to what your preferred modality is. The way it's currently structured is that when we're back in the face-to-face sessions, the course session may be taped, or there may be other activities for you to do online in your Blackboard course shell. But the most important thing is for students to really be in great discussion and conversation with their professor so that they know what you're doing, what your plans are.
Thank you, Dean Chinnery. For the spring, if we are in phase 2, will students who are living farther away or concerned about risk levels be allowed to complete their courses online?
Tara, I think that was actually amended to stage 3.
Oh, okay.
A little bit down. So, and to be honest, we haven't gotten that far with regard to the spring and what stages the state may or may not be in. So that's really something that we'll have to determine a little bit later in this semester as we see what state New Jersey's in, and whether we'll be continuing the high flex classrooms in the spring. There's a likelihood, but at this point it's not been determined.
I have a student who paid for parking, but it seems like all my classes are online. Will there be a refund if we wind up having classes online all semester and don't go to campus? John Mertz, could you take that one?
Yes, all students have the ability to go online into their self-service and indicate that they don't want to park on campus. So we call it an opt-out process. So if you do that, we will remove the charges from your course. So sometimes when our billing coding is set up so that it looks like you're going to be on campus, we bill you. But if you say, I'm not going to have a car on campus, we'll remove that charge for you.
Thank you, John. For online courses, how do we confirm if our courses will be online the traditional way or live? Dean Edmonds, can you take that one?
Absolutely. Thank you, Tara. If your course is a traditional online course, when you look at the way that course appears in self-service, it'll look like the class goes from midnight to midnight. So there's no time specified. So for this type of course, you don't meet with your class as a group, but you will have to check into the class and make sure you fulfill the content and you meet all the due dates. For the other kind of online class, which is virtual or live, when you look in self-service, you'll notice that a day and time is provided. So that means you will have to log into Blackboard and participate in the class at that day and time. Regardless, similar to what Dean Chinnery and Provost Warner stated, absolutely make sure you're in touch with your professor just to be absolutely certain you understand how the course is delivered and how you engage with the professor and the content and the other students.
Someone asks what the deadline is for fall registration. Who wants to take that one? Janice?
I'd have to look at the registration dates, but they are all online. Usually you can add a class up through the first week once they start. But if one of the deans knows that for sure, usually it's 1 week in. It could be as much as 2 weeks, but you definitely need to check the registrar academic dates.
Yeah, it's add drop is the first week.
Yep.
And then after that, there's a lot of forms. So we always advise you to do add drop in the first week so that you don't have to fill out lots of forms to get done what you want to.
Really, you should try and register this week. If you're still not registered, register this week so that you start your classes on time. Every week really puts you at a disadvantage.
This is a question for John and Cynthia. Are financial aid and student accounts going to be working on campus or working from home?
Sorry about that. Get to the mute button. We will be working on campus, but we are trying very hard to limit our direct interactions with students. We prefer email questions and phone questions. We've been doing that since the campus closed back in March. Right now, I'd say our email turnaround time is usually less than an hour. Late into the evenings, it gets a little bit harder to keep up with those things, but we get right back to them first thing in the morning. So if you do need to drop by paperwork, we do have a system set up for limited contact where you can drop us off a form, drop us off a paper check if you need to, but we're really trying to limit our in-person interactions.
Is the testing center going to be open? I was recommended to take a Spanish exam to get credit for the course if I test high enough. Dean Chinnery?
I think it depends on the kind of test. Traditionally, do you mean testing to get into a class or a kind of CLEP test or Dante's test? Georgian Court has not traditionally run the CLEP or Dante's on campus. That was done at an off-campus location. But if it was testing in order to find out if I should be in elementary Spanish or in intermediate Spanish, then the question would be to contact the department chair in that case.
Yes, it looks like they're asking about getting credit for a course if they, I guess, testing out of something.
I'd have to look more into that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, the next question is, how do we go about obtaining a student ID online? Amy?
Yes, you should have, all students should have received an email either last Thursday or Friday with directions on how to do that in uploading the pictures and providing an address. For commuter students, the IDs will be mailed to them at the address they provided. For resident students who do not have their ID yet, there will be a coordination with Residence Life, and then the distribution will go through Residence Life.
Sorry about that, muted myself. What date does fall tuition have to be paid by? John?
For students who registered prior to August 6th, the due date was August the 6th. Now for students who register or add classes or even drop classes, we send revised notices out on a daily basis. We ask everybody who's making those kinds of changes to check self-service and check their email, so we can, have the latest information. But really it is, when you register this close to the beginning of the semester, payment is really due upon receipt, and you need to have your financial aid and payment plans in order. And I think our financial aid office has gotten a lot of documentation in recently, and they're doing a good job of keeping up with them. Maybe Cynthia wants to clarify that, but the turnaround time there is pretty good. And we will send out notifications to students who still have to take care of their business.
So we've been contacting students all summer and spring regarding information they need to send us if their files were selected for verification. And we've also been contacting particularly new students, new freshmen. If they do want to have their student loans processed, they need to follow through with the online loan counseling and to sign the, it's called the Master Promissory Note. It's an agreement between you and the Department of Ed regarding your loans. And once we get that, we can send your anticipated aid over to billing. And it's you only have to do it every 10 years, so it's a smooth process, and it just helps your financial aid go through much easier for you and for us as well. We don't like to keep nagging you, but we will until you get it done. If you don't want loans, you need to email us financialaid@georgian.edu and just say, I wish to decline my loans. And we'll take the loan documents off. And if the loans have dispersed already, we'll send them back.
Cynthia and John. I have a question. All my classes got changed to online virtual. Will I still need the parking pass if I potentially need to have a meeting with Trio? Amy?
If you're going to be on campus for any regular amount of time, then yes, you would need a parking pass, but that wouldn't happen until we're at stage 3.
And I have another parking question that I'll skip ahead to for a second. Is there a difference in parking passes for those living on campus versus those commuting to campus?
Actually, I do not know. I will find out, and we can post that as well.
I have the answer.
Yes,
John. Students who live on campus do not pay New Jersey state sales tax. People who are commuters and are charged parking are charged for New Jersey state sales tax by state tax regulation.
Thanks.
Thank you. So are all classes going to be online starting on Monday? One of my psychology classes says it is in Jeffries Hall. It does not say hybrid or off campus. Dean Chinnery?
Yes, to start out, all classes will be either fully online or virtual. So if you have a time on your schedule, you will be meeting virtually, which means log in and follow the directions that your professor gives you. But we will not be starting class next week, in the flesh on campus. To start out, all the classes will be virtual.
And just to clarify, classes that are now listed as hybrids will be conducted completely online until we move to stage 3 and determine whether or not to move face to face. Janice, that's correct, right?
Yes, I mean, there is some possibility that we may choose to move some classes in person while we're still in stage 2. But again, we would notify everyone at least a week in advance.
I have another parking question. I paid for parking last semester, and because of COVID, it wasn't used. Can that be used for the upcoming semester, or will I have to pay again?
So with parking last semester, a portion of the parking fee was refunded because campus closed. So you should contact the student accounts office to find out, because you should have, if you had paid for this semester, you should have gotten a refund.
Correct.
This question is for Amani. If I am coming home to campus for the weekends, is it okay for someone to drop me off at my dorm?
Yes, that is fine, but that individual will need to complete the health screening the same way that you would if you're coming back onto campus. But absolutely, they can drop you off.
How do students set up a meeting with an advisor if you are a new student? Janice, do you want to take that one?
So as from in admissions, you should have gotten an advisor that you should reach out to via email. If you didn't get that, I would go back to your admissions officer. And if you, otherwise you can also contact the department chair for the major you were going to be part of. So there's many different ways. Worst comes to worst, send me an email and I'll be happy to find out for you.
I have some more parking questions. Apparently that is the hot topic today. One student wants to know if they can get a parking pass in the spring. Amy?
Yes, absolutely. If you need a parking pass, we will certainly have it available to you for you in the spring.
And the next question, I am a commuter, and even though most of our classes seem to be online, I pay for a parking pass but still have not received one in case classes go back to in-person. Should they have already received their parking pass?
It depends on when they applied for it. So I would suggest checking in with security, or you can contact me directly and I can work with you on identifying where that is.
And someone wants to know what the hours are to get your photo ID, or is it by appointment only? If so, how do we make an appointment?
So there was an email that went out last week, and all of this is touchless. So you're to upload a picture, and then if you're a commuter, it will be mailed to you at whatever address you provided. If you're a resident student, then they will coordinate with Residence Life, and you will receive your ID through that process.
Let's see, I have one. We are registered for classes prior to the summer ending. I don't see the scholarship applied to my son's tuition. How do I see the scholarship being applied to an account to see what is actually truly owed? John, can you take that?
I'm going to defer to Cynthia on that question, please.
So there could be a couple of reasons why the scholarship's not on there, and I would suggest that if you could send an email to financial aid at georgian.edu, letting us know your son's name, and then we could look it up and get back to you. We may have missing documents. Again, the loan issue might be there, so it could be a number of things. So if you could just email us, we could get you an answer within the hour.
And we're uploading, as financial aid office receives documents, finds out you don't want a loan, we're uploading that revised information on a daily basis every morning. So if you send an email this afternoon, financial aid will probably update it before the end of the day, and I'll probably upload it to your student account by 9 or 9:30 in the morning tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that answers the question I was about to ask, so great, thank you. Let's see, more parking. If I opt out of parking since my classes are either online or virtual, but then classes do resume on a face-to-face level, can I get a parking pass? And if so, how can I get a pass?
Yeah, absolutely, you'll be able to get a pass, and then we will put instructions on how to do so on the website.
Oh good, we still have Dean Wormser. I have a nursing question. Are the nursing labs going to be virtual as well?
No, you will be coming to Hamilton Hall or Mercy for your labs, and you will be going to clinical for your clinical. As a matter of fact, today we do have our nursing students, some of our nursing students back at Hamilton Hall doing a boot camp. So we will be holding our labs and clinical live.
And Dr. Kamagata, who is in charge of advising this year, wanted to share her email address. So if you did not get your advisor, you can email skomagata@georgian.edu, and she will tell you who your advisor is. So thank you, Sachiko. Let's see. When will I receive a revised invoice for tuition? I was waiting for scholarship money because I earned my associate degree from Brookdale Community College. Cynthia?
Okay, that's a revised, they're asking for a revised billing statement. John, my understanding is once it goes out, then we are not sending another. It's going to be on their self-service account.
We are not putting paper mail out for revised situations like that. We're only sending the initial bill via paper. After that, everything's via email, notification of updates. Again, if you're expecting changes or just curious, we expect at this time of the year that students look at self-service and check your balance, check your student account. It's updated automatically. As soon as we update something in our system, you can see it.
Don, I have another question for you. My son was charged room and board and is not boarding at Georgian Court. I just looked and it doesn't appear his scholarship has been applied either. Who should we speak to regarding this matter?
That's a two-part question.
Yes.
The first one is Residence Life. So send them an email, reslife@georgian.edu. They are updating student situations, again, on a daily basis. So if you send them an email today, I don't know what their turnaround time is. It might be a day or two, but we will get that updated quickly to remove the room and board charges from the bill. And as we've mentioned earlier, send an email to financialaid@georgian.edu to check on the status of what documents may be missing. What is it that's preventing a scholarship or something else, a grant that from going over to the student's account so that we can see it.
I just want to add that for some students who don't file a FAFSA, it's often difficult for us to see your admissions record because the way the system's set up. So if you're not going to file a FAFSA, we were sending out letters as well to tell us that you didn't want to file a FAFSA. We would waive the document, then put your scholarship on the award, and it would, because we waived the document, the scholarship would go over to student accounts as anticipated aid. There's thousands of files that come through each year, and sometimes we try our best to get everybody who doesn't file a FAFSA get their scholarship on, but sometimes it's just through the way the system's set up, it's sometimes we don't get everybody. So send an email waiving your FAFSA and we'll be able to put it on right away.
Amy, a student wants to know if they will receive a refund for spring and summer semesters being online.
So I'm assuming I'll answer both ways. I'm assuming the individual is asking about tuition. If it is about tuition, there is no refund for tuition. However, if you did reside on campus last spring, there was a prorated portion of a refund given the number of weeks that the student wasn't on campus.
Amy, if they did not receive the email about getting their ID cards, who should they contact? Campus safety?
Yes.
And I think Amy can answer this one as well. What jobs are available on campus for students who are in a federal work study program?
You want me to answer
I'll
that?
answer.
Okay, you could, okay, go ahead.
So student employment is handled by our career services office. So you can reach out to Career Services. They have a full list of employment that's available for students.
And I believe a lot of the job descriptions will probably be uploaded this week because I got our email for our office today. So probably look in the next week or so and those jobs will be posted on the CareerLink website. Okay, when should we expect to see student IDs if we are commuting? I submitted the information needed about a week ago.
So the parking, go ahead, John. Do you want to go ahead?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, so the parking office started printing or finishing the commuters' IDs the day they started, so you should be receiving it in the next couple days.
Was that for parking passes or student IDs? Because they asked about student IDs.
Student IDs, I'm sorry.
The parking passes, we put on hold once we, we stopped mailing them out once we thought we knew we were going to be in stage 2. And we're determining how to handle them, assuming we do get to stage 3 sometime mid-semester. I don't know the answer to the question on student ID cards because that's handled by campus safety.
Yeah, so they're of creating them. First, they're going to do commuters and then residents, and they'll be in the mail to commuters sometime this week.
I have a two-part question. I'm going to ask Dean Wormser's question first. So for nursing students, will labs start the first week of classes next week, or will those be online for now as well?
They should begin next week in the lab if you're in 221 or 211. But the best way to find out exactly what's going to happen is to go to your Blackboard shell and look at the syllabus and the announcement. Information will be there. Or you could always also email your instructor. So you'll be given complete instructions on when and where to report.
And the other question that this person had was that next week all classes are online. Is this for everybody? Janice?
Yes, except for, as we said, nursing, and there's 2 or 3 other classes that also apply, one in exercise science and one in graduate psychology, actually. So again, the full list of classes is in the addendum to our plan, so you can look there. But as Dean Wormser said, the best thing to do is to go to each of your class sites on Blackboard, and your instructor will tell you exactly what to do.
Dean Magaya, will education students be student teaching in person this fall? I haven't received a placement or any information about this.
Okay, let me go with the second part first. Contact us as soon as possible. We have a list and we have already assigned most of them. Going to the first one, it depends. Some districts have already accepted that our students are going to be going in and teaching. Some other districts are not going to be going face-to-face, so our students are going to be doing virtual. And so it depends on where you're going to be placed. But please contact us as soon as you can.
Thank you. I have another parking question. I already paid for parking, but my syllabi say my classes are virtual until at least October. Can I return my parking pass until then? Amy or John?
Yes, you can. Again, if you go in and opt out of the parking requirement, we can waive your charges. And we appreciate if you return the parking pass, and we'll reuse it and give it to someone else.
Dean Wormser, from a nursing student, I'm a nursing student who commutes. If we are completely online or doing the hybrid high flex scheduling and have lecture first and then have the 15-minute break before lab, will we be accounted for being late, or are we supposed to leave lecture earlier for commuting time?
Good question. There will be Wi-Fi. You can actually do the lecture in your car if you want to come right before class. And there will be sites on campus, I believe, where you could do the lecture and be to lab on time. Again, if you have any issues, talk with your instructor and they will help you to work everything out.
Yeah, let me just emphasize that again. You know, once you have on-site classes, if you have an online class right before an on-site class, that's why we put out those outside tents with places to sit. And there will also be places to sit in the casino so that you can complete your virtual classes right before going to an online class, and you will have a place to do that.
Thank you. I have a student who took 2 summer courses at Brookdale this summer. He or she sent their grades to Georgian Court back in June and have not seen my grades uploaded to my transcript. When should I expect to see my grades appear? I think I need someone in the registrar for that one. Janice, do you?
This is Chris. Grades, they should already be there, and I would reach out to the registrar's office directly for further clarification. But we've been working on that all summer. So please reach out to the registrar's office directly.
Thank you, Chris. My federal work study has been added to my financial aid package, but it was not added to my anticipated aid. Who do I talk to? Cynthia?
Work study is not considered anticipated aid. It's not a credit on your bill. The only credits on your bill are scholarships, loans, grants. So that's money you earned. It's like any kind of job, even if you had a job off campus, say, it's a similar, you get paid bi-monthly. So if you were going to use some of that money to pay a tuition bill, you would have to make, you were going to get either direct deposit or a check, and you would have to just pay directly to the bursars, to student accounts. But that is not money that's credited to your account. It's in the literature we send with your award letter that federal work study is not a credit on your student account.
I was charged for accident insurance when I never signed up for it. Is there a way to deny it because I have my own health insurance? Would that be student accounts?
Yes, that is student accounts. That is currently a fee that is not refundable or waivable, but we are evaluating that situation, and I don't know if Amy has anything she wants to add to that.
I don't have anything to add at this point.
Question, will you be able to increase the amount of students able to enroll in a class if that class is now being held online? Janice, can you take that one?
Not likely, but we will look at wait lists and see what we can do with some of the students who are still on wait list.
If I could jump in about that. Wait lists are super important to us because if there's a lot of people on a wait list, we know it means that we have to add a new section of that class. So if you could make sure that you get on a wait list for a class that you need, that tells the deans and the chairs that it's maybe time to open up a new section for you. So thank you in advance for doing that. And again, reach out to us individually if you want, if you have any questions about that.
So another student wrote, so just to confirm, we will not be receiving parking passes. I'm an athlete as well as a commuter and replied about 2 weeks ago for the parking pass. Dr. Marbach, you said you wanted to answer this one.
Yes, so it's come up in the chat quite a few times. Parking passes will not be required until we go to in-person classes. So in the meantime, the student should fill out the form to come to campus ahead of time, use the app so that they can check in. They'll be stopped at security to make sure that they have filled out their pre-check form, and then they'll be allowed to park and then attend the practice session that they're going to.
Someone asked where they can access the addendum to see if any of our classes were to be added in person. And then again, the address for the reopening website is georgian.edu/reopen2020. And in the second paragraph on that page, you'll find a link to the comprehensive reopening plan. The addendum starts on page 31 of that PDF plan. So, and I believe the courses are actually on that page. They might be on the second page, but that hopefully answers your question. What will happen if a student who is a resident is stuck with classes only to be taught online? Dean Jennings?
Well, in that case, the student can choose to stay on campus. We do have students who, for a number of reasons, are taking classes completely online, but are choosing to remain within our residence halls. Maybe the Wi-Fi is better, or any number of reasons. Or the student can choose before checking in, not to check in and to to remove themselves from residence life. If the student has already moved in and is considering changing or making a different decision, I would suggest that they contact residence life immediately. But in short, the student does not have to check out if the student has classes that are all online.
Thank you. Good. Someone is wondering why a student is not able to take a course at another facility while they requested a leave of absence. I had to request this due to financial issues as well as other obstacles the pandemic caused. Janice?
I didn't understand the question. I'm sorry.
Let me read it again. Maybe
Yeah.
Let's see. They are wondering why a student is unable to take a course at another institution during a leave of absence, which they had to request due to financial issues and other pandemic related issues. So are students on official leaves of absence, are they allowed to take courses at another institution?
I actually don't know the answer to that. So I would suggest that they contact the registrar.
That's exactly correct. There is paperwork that needs to be completed if a student does want to make sure they get the exact credit that they're anticipating from that other institution to come back to Georgian court. So they should consult the registrar's office directly.
Someone is asking where they can find a prerequisite override form for their advisor to fill out. Would that be on the Office of the Registrar's website?
Yes.
Yes.
If a student has not yet paid tuition, does that mean that they are not registered for a course? They are waiting for what their actual bill is before they just send a blank check. Can we speak to someone about what the actual true amount of the tuition owed is? John?
Yes, I would say send an email to studentaccounts@georgian.edu. We are providing information that to a lot of people, students and families who are asking that question. If you've been registered prior to 9 or 10 o'clock this morning, we've already assessed your charges for your tuition and fees. And looking through self-service, you'll be able to see exactly what those tuition and fee amounts are. Also, people have a lot of questions about what their out-of-pocket costs will be because they're the financial aid, whether there's grants, scholarships, loans, etc. So if you don't see any financial aid or anticipated aid, which is what we call it at this point, then send an email to financialaid@georgian.edu as well.
Tara, there was a clarification on the chat.
Yes, I was just going to say that.
Okay, if you got it, that's fine.
Yep. I just wanted to say, so the prerequisite override form, I got a clarification from someone in the registrar's office, and that form has to be given to the student by the faculty member. It is not on the website. You do have to go through your faculty member to get that form. And let's see, if a student is waitlisted for any courses, if they are online, what is the chance that they will get into that course? Janice?
As Dean Chinnery was saying, we use the wait lists to determine if we need to open up other sections. So you may or may not get into the actual section that you're looking at, but we are going to use that information to determine if we need to provide other sections. And that's happening this week. I mean, we are trying to really address everything and be ready, as we're saying, for Monday morning.
Absolutely.
I thought we had someone with their hand up, and I'm looking and I think they may have put it down. Oh, I have one more question that just came in on the Q&A. The student had applied at the beginning of July for part of the CARES Act, and it said that it would evaluate my needs based on what I had filled out. I was wondering if we would know if we could be expecting that or not, or if the release has been exhausted. Cynthia?
Okay, so we went through 2 rounds and we will go through another round, looking at the applications that have been coming in. So yes, they will be considered.
But if they had applied in July, they should have.
Yeah, well, I don't know when they applied, so I'd have to go back.
They said beginning of July.
Okay, have them send an email to financial aid, so I have their name to double check, because we did send out a considerable amount of funds on that second round.
Okay, for the winter, is chart the course still a thing? I'm a graduating senior and will need to take a winter course. Will there be scholarships available?
So chart the course is definitely still a thing for first year students, but definitely the courses will be available.
But are they available for graduating seniors?
So the classes will be available for graduating seniors to take. They may not get them with a scholarship associated with them. That's what chart the course does.
A student wants to know how they'll be able to join an online class on Monday. Will there be a notification with a link provided?
It'll be in their course shell on Blackboard.
Thank you. I have a student who's supposed to graduate in December. Will they walk in the spring for graduation, and will I get credit for student fees and parking? I will say that all students who graduate in December are eligible to walk in our spring commencement, because we only have commencement once a year. But if someone wants to answer the part about credit for student fees and parking, I presume for the spring, since they're not a student during that semester.
If the registrar's records show that the student is anticipated to graduate in December, we will only charge them for the fall semester. And we would not charge the annual amount. We would only charge a 1 semester amount, which is essentially half of the annual amount.
And someone wanted, John, they wanted you to repeat the email address for the tuition issue. He said student accounts, and then he said financial aid, which office. They want to find out the exact amount of tuition that they owe.
Contact student accounts. It's all one word, student accounts @georgian.edu. And we will get back to you shortly. And we will, if we see your financial aid eligibility already applied to your tuition and fees, we'll let you know that. If we don't see anything, then we'll refer you to contact financial aid directly to find out why we're not seeing anything, if you're expecting aid or scholarships.
Tara, did you see in the chat that Denise Molnar from the registrar's office put a clarification that if a student is on a leave of absence, they are not permitted to take courses at another institution. I think it's the nature of the leave of absence that we're holding their place and they're in a constant state. So that's why that student's ineligible to transfer classes in, part of our policies.
Great, thank you for that clarification, Denise. Appreciate it. Let's see, I think I have another question. A student wants to know what textbooks I will need for my classes. Dean Chinnery?
There's 2 places to find out. One is that if you go on to self-service, it says view information. You can click on that and it takes you to the book list for the class. Or when you log online, you can see on the class syllabus what your book requirements are for that class. And this is a good thing to bring up right now. Make sure you're getting and buying or renting the books for your exact class, because there might be sections of the same class and there might be some book variations. So make sure that you have the books for the class that Dr. Smith is teaching rather than what Dr. Jones is teaching? That's a very good question.
And I have a financial aid question. If a student is waiting on documents from the IRS, I guess the question is, what do they do if they're waiting for those documents? Her father hasn't been able to get in touch with them.
So we cannot, that means their files has been federally selected for verification. Unfortunately, it means that we can't send their anticipated financial aid over to student accounts. We need those documents before we can disperse the Pell. If they're eligible, say for Pell or student loans, we need those documents to verify the file. Their institutional aid will go over after the add drop period. We will send all that over to student accounts. In the meantime, what they can do, if they are, most of our students do have scholarships, they could deduct that scholarship at least from the bill at this point.
I have another question. Actually, no, it's a clarification from Dr. Bennett regarding Dean Chinnery's comment about books. Students should ensure that they purchase the book with the same ISBN number that appears on self-service and perhaps also on the course outlines or syllabus, so that they get the correct books. Thanks, Dr. Bennett. I think we are good unless there's anything in the chat.
Sarah, this is Gail.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for doing this. Thank you everybody for hanging in there. I wanted to mention one thing in passing. This semester will look completely different from anything else we've ever experienced, but our GCU pride is still as fierce. So in addition to the bookstore where you can get GCU paraphernalia, please make time to visit gculions.com. gculions.com is where we host most of our athletic news and rosters and all of those good things. And even though they aren't playing sports this fall, they're still as proud as ever and want you to support some of the things they're doing. So please take a look at gculions.com and go to their stores. They have virtual stores there where you can see some of the things that are on sale to support GCU athletics.
Thanks, Gail. I have one other question. They want to make sure that current students do not have to get a new ID from the Mercy Center. If you have a current ID and you haven't lost it, you should continue using the same ID that you have. If you lost your ID, I believe you would email campus safety to get a new one, correct, Amy? Okay, that's a yes.
Yes.
Okay, I think we are good. If there are any last minute questions, send them now. Oh, here we go. Do we have to fill out the COVID-19 employee and student screening form before going to class or labs every time? Amy, can you talk about the app that's going to be available next week?
Sure. So anytime you will be on campus, you will be asked to, and I believe it will go out a reminder notice once you download the app and register. Reminder notice will go out each morning at 7 a.m. reminding you to log in and to fill out the questions. So every employee and student will need to do this once a day, and every day they're going to be on campus. You will get a reminder on Saturday or Sunday. You could opt out of those. The other thing is if you're not going to be on campus the entire week, if you're in on Tuesday and not coming back until Thursday, you can just skip over Wednesdays and then go to Thursday. But the short answer is yes, anyone on campus will have to do this screening every day.
And can you clarify that if they're a resident student, whether or not they need to fill out the form or app every day before they go to class?
Yes. So at least they have to be at least 1 hour before they're either attending class, resident student, I would say, before they're leaving their building, they need to complete it, because anyone who is physically walking or on the campus will need to have completed the screening form for the safety of all of us.
Thank you, Amy. I do have something in the chat that I just wanted to let students know that peer tutoring is hiring for work study, and you can email peertutoring@georgian.edu to find out about the open positions. Thank you, Matthew. I have another question for John. If you have yet to pay your tuition, but you pay this week, can you still be eligible to take your courses? I haven't paid for my courses yet because I don't know what I owe currently.
Yes, we do not cancel students' enrollment in a course for non-payment or for partial payment, but I do encourage you to make those payments or take care of your financial aid, enroll in a payment plan if you can make the payment of some of the amount, but not all of the amount. The information is on our website as soon as possible.
And Amy, can students go in person to purchase their books?
Yes, they can. This week it's limited hours, and then they're extended hours, regular hours the next week.
Dr. Marbach, do you want to take us out today?
Thank you, Tara. And I just want to thank everybody who participated, our panelists who answered the questions and are certainly very knowledgeable. And we'll get back to anybody if there's any outstanding questions. Again, feel free to send an email to anyone. If you do have basic questions, you can also send questions to the reopen at georgian.edu on our website. So please go there if there are any other clarifications you need to read through our reopen plan. We are very excited to start the semester. And as I started and stated, and you heard from before, we are ready. And we do look forward to seeing you, at least virtually, to begin the semester and hopefully at some point in person. I thank everybody for their time today. And I thank our panelists in particular for their very knowledgeable answers. Thank you all. Please be safe. God bless, and go Lions.